Hi all, once again, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Imani, and today we'll be solving a problem from Codility, which is finding the first unique number. Okay, so let's start. The question says a non-empty array A consisting of n integers is given. The unique number is the number that occurs exactly once in array A. For example, the following array A has got those elements 4, 10, 5, 4, 2, 10. Now, looking at that array, there are only two unique numbers, which are 5 and 2. But the first unique number in the array to be seen is 5. So we have to write a function that returns the first unique number in the array. In this case is 5. So it says you should find the first unique number in A. In other words, find the unique number with the lowest position in A. Given the example there, now we are told to write a function that given an empty array A of n integers returns the first unique number in A. The function should return -1 if there are no unique numbers in A. So if there are no unique numbers in the array A, we should return -1. But if we find the first unique number in the array A, we should then return that unique number. Okay, so like for example that second array as well, we're given that array with elements 6, 4, 4, 6. That means all elements have been repeated more than once, so the occurrences of all the elements is more than once in the array. That means there are no unique numbers found in the array, and hence the function should return -1. Okay, so let's try to solve this question and see whether we can find the solution. Okay, so looking at the question here, for example, we need to consider the following things. Now, if we widen up you can look at the text property. We can consider having our steps written inside the comments. We start by looking at first the input. So the input is an array A that consists of n integers. Okay. Now the output is we have to return the first unique number in the array, and if there are no any unique numbers found, we should then return -1. Okay, now let's create the steps, the solution. So steps to obtain the solution. So looking at the array, so let's take an example here of the array. You can use this array with 4, 10, 5, 4, 2, then 10. So we have got those elements in the array. Now if you look at these elements in the array, you can see that element 5 and 2 have only one occurrences in the array, but the first element that we see that has got one occurrence in the array is 5, and hence here we have to return 5. Okay, so how can we do this? Now first we can start by iterating through the array from the first element to the last element. Okay, that should start. We should start there. Okay, so we start there, and then we can think of why we're iterating. So we calculate, or we can say obtain. We can say obtain the occurrence of the numbers in the array. Okay, we obtain the occurrences of the numbers, occurrences of the numbers in the array. After we obtain the occurrences of numbers in the array, we then queue each number in a vector queue. Okay, the reason why we are doing this is that when we are going to check for whether there is a unique number in the array or not, we then use queues to be able to obtain the first element and check its occurrence, and whether its occurrences is more than one. You'll see what I'm talking about later. So after queuing each number in the vector array and also obtaining the occurrences of the numbers in the array, we then check if the queue is empty. So but while we're doing this, at the moment the queue will not be empty. So we can say that while the queue is not empty, okay, and the first number in the queue, or yeah, we can say the first number in the queue is has occurred. You can say has occurred more than once. Okay, we then pop the queue. Now we will pop the queue until to the point where we find the number whose occurrence is no more than one. Okay, now on that point we say that now if, let's say, if you're popping the queue, if you're removing the elements from the queue to the point that now the queue is empty, we then return -1. But by removing the q to the point that we cannot remove a certain element because it has not occurred more than once, we then return that first element that is found the q. So we say that if the q is empty, we then return -1, else we return the first element found in the queue. Okay, so let's solve this question now. Let's write the program. Okay, now we can start by including all the required libraries first. So let's include the required libraries here. We will be using vector arrays, so we will include the vector library, and we will also we will use an ordered map to get the number of occurrences of numbers in an array. So we'll include the unordered map library. We will also include the queue library to queue the elements of the array, so that we can check the occurrences later on, whether we remove them from the array if the occurrences are greater than 1, or leave them if the occurrences is not greater than 1. So we'll include queue. Yes, then now let's okay, in case we want to print something, we will then include iostream. Okay, in this case we'll be using name okay, std. All right, so yeah, okay, let's start now following the steps that we've identified here. Now we say the first case will be iterating through the first element to the last element. Now in this case, let us define that we're going to use variable I, the for loop, and also we will be using n to obtain the size of the array. Okay, in this case now we can start by defining the size of the array. Say n is a dot size. Okay, that's the size of the array, and we can also define the unordered map for mapping. So we can say ordered map, because we'll be mapping integer to get to know the number of occurrences in the array, to get to know the number of occurrences of elements inside the array, and we can call this number of occurrences. Okay, and we can also define q, which will be in form of integer, and this q will be holding the numbers from inside the array, and we can give it a name. We can say myQ. Okay, because we're just using it to all the elements and the numbers in the array so that we can check their occurrences later on. We will see later on. Okay, so let's now we can start by iterating, like we said in the first step, iterating through the array from the first element to the last element of the array. Okay, and we can start by saying that yep, first thing is obtain the occurrences of the numbers in the array. So to obtain these occurrences, we can just use the number of occurrences that we created to map to get to know how many times the elements in the array have occurred, like how many times 0 has occurred, how many times 1 has occurred, how many times 2 has occurred inside the array. And while at the same time, while we're doing that, we are also storing the elements in, or say pushing the elements in the queue to store them and use them later for comparison. Okay, so storing the elements. Now at this point, we'll know how many times each element has occurred in the array, and also we will have our queue having the elements from that array to be used for comparison. Now, after doing this, we will then say that while, so my queue at this moment is not empty because we are putting in elements in there. We already kept in some elements before, so it's not empty. So while our queue is not empty, and while the queue is not empty, and the number of occurrences with having the first element in the queue, so my queue dot front. Okay, so like the first element, its number of occurrences if it's greater than 1. So while the queue is not empty and the number of occurrences of the first element in the queue is greater than 1, what we do is we remove it from the queue because it has occurred more than once, and we don't need that for our case, so we remove it. But if it reaches a number that its occurrence is not greater than 1, what we do, it's not going to remove that element, so the queue will not be empty at the end. But if it happens that all elements have been removed, we can say that we can say return -1 if the queue is empty. Okay, we can return -1 if the queue is empty. Else, if it's not empty, we can return the first element that we see in the array, which has got only 1 occurrence. So the first unique number. So my queue front. Let me say that, note that my queue dot front as the return statement is our unique number. So it's our first unique number. It's our first unique number. Okay, so um okay, so I forgot that statement. So here we say that if our key is empty, we then return -1, else we return the first unique number that we see. Okay, so let's run this code and see. Yep, so we have passed all the tests, and this is all the code. We highlight it. This is all the code we've seen here, and let us submit it, see what score we get with it. Okay, it's 100%. And thank you very much all. I'm looking forward to see you in the next one. Thank you.